Well, hello, all of you out in YouTube world. Welcome aboard Flying with Mike. We are sitting at Gate 8 in Auckland, New Zealand. That's November Zulu Alpha Alpha. And we are preparing to depart for the Fiji Islands, Nadi International to be specific. Call letters November, Fox, Fox, November. Looks to be a great flight. It's about a 3.5 hour flight. So to keep this rolling, let's go ahead and move into the cockpit and see what kind of pre-flight information dispatch has given us. And with that, we'll be bringing up Sim Toolkit and bringing it over here. On the agenda today, like I said, we're going from Auckland, New Zealand to Nadi International in the Fiji Islands. The route is across the top here of Sim Toolkit. It's the Roxy 1Q departure to KLAG, to the Alpha 578, to AG tag, right into Nadi. Currently, the winds are favoring a RNAV approach. We had some troubles with it last time. This is actually a second attempt at getting in there without a horribly four-digit landing. We landed at 1,000 feet a minute last time. We're going to try and bring it in. Now, the challenge to the approach we're doing here is it's a 7,000-foot runway, as you're about to see. But let's look at the loadout. We've got 145 brave souls to come aboard Flying with Mike. Plus the cargo and bags brings us up to about 30,000 pounds of payload and a zero fuel weight of 124,779 in pounds. That is US pounds. Today's flight has been fueled. We have 31,711 pounds of fuel aboard. Looking on the right-hand side real quick, our cost index for this flight, it's the same number I use for all 737s. Doesn't matter what airline or whatever, I always use 85. When I go to 74s or 777s, which the 777 I don't have yet for streaming, I'll use different numbers for those. Coming down, you can see our air distance is 1,184 miles. The average wind in flight will be 273 at 24. So it's really not a bad wind. It's just a quartering wind on our left side as we're heading north. Initial climb will be to 32,000. Now, Sim Brief, which is what Sim Toolkit pulls from, is not showing any other steps up. I'm thinking about maybe 34, 36. We'll see how the flight progresses on this. Real quick over here at Auckland, if I can get it to pull up, we're 23 feet right now above sea level. We're planning to depart, like it says at the top, runway 5 right. That's a 11,598 foot runway. Heading is 51, and the key to both of these transition altitudes, 13,000 here at Auckland. Now, as you can see, you got the, let's get the weather real quick, because that's kind of crucial here. Um, as of 15Z on this day, the 22nd, winds were 120 at 4, and we got a broken layer at 6,500 feet. QNH or altimeter setting 1024, and there's no significant weather in the area. Okay, contrast that, we're going to Nadi. It's 59 feet above sea level, as you would expect on an island. They're not going to build it on top of a mountain, more than likely. Runway 9 is a heading of 09 or 2, and 7,001 foot. Now that 1 foot, folks, could be the make or break for a landing with Mike. So just so you know, transition altitude there is 11,000. Currently the weather is 110 at 5 on the winds, a few clouds at 3,000 and 30,000, and temperature 23 degrees, and the that's 23 degrees Celsius, just to calm some people here in the United States. They're like, oh my gosh, it's that cold in the islands? No, it's 23 degrees Celsius. I think that's in the 80s, pushing 90. And the QNH there, which is the altimeter setting, 1009er. Again, no significant weather. So we really should have a good flight. Here's our fuel breakdown here on the right side. Again, 31,711 pounds has been boarded onto the plane, so we have that. And that ding is our squawk code, more than likely from POSCON. That'll be the network we're flying this on. And we're looking at, for a reserve that I'll put in, I'm just getting my pen and paper out here, 12.6. Now everyone's going, my gosh, you're flying a 737. Why so high? All right, remember, we're flying to an island. An island that's 1,100 and almost 1,200 miles away from New Zealand. Our alternate is the Samoas, I believe is what that was. Yeah, the Samoas. They are 730 miles away. We're going to need at least, it shows us here, an hour and 50 minutes worth of fuel, folks. So literally most flights that these planes fly in the States or in Europe or in Australia or even the Far East, we're doing it, folks, just to get from where we land to our alternate if we have to go. So we got to be real careful we don't loiter too long. And then, by the way, here's the flight plan if we have to go to the Samoas. Lastly, this is our times. They're calling it 3 hours, 25 minutes scheduled. We might be able to make it in there in about 3 hours, 20 minutes. We'll see. Then finally, our weight breakdown. Here's our fuel. Here's our zero fuel weight. And here's the payload. This will total up to 156 when we're ready to push back. If everything goes as one would expect with the performance, 138,900-ish pounds of fuel should be on the plane when we shoot the approach into Nadi. All right, folks, that is going to wrap up the pre-brief real quick. Here is the chart for our routing and ETOPS, extended operations. There's really no requirement for ETOPS on this route because they overlap. So we can either turn back for New Zealand or press on. So that's the good thing in this. And then finally, we'll look at the significant weather. And there is some along the way. We are going to possibly be going through some thunderstorms as we approach the Fiji Islands. And we got a jet stream cutting up from the southwest and one going down from northwest to southeast. So it's potentially going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride. And that turbulence is moderate from 26 to 43. primarily over here coming off Australia out into the South Pacific. But again, we'll be ready for it. We'll do the best we can to give our passengers the best ride possible. So folks, that's going to wrap up our pre-flight. So we're going to hop back into cockpit here and get on with planning out the flight in the actual cockpit. Now, we're taking a plane that just landed and turned around and getting ready to go to Fiji. So really everything is pretty well set up other than what we have to introduce to it for the route. First thing I want to do is point out we're using Zibo here in X-Plane. I just updated it yesterday from 3.3 I think I had. It's now up to 3. I don't know. But there is an updater out there, folks. For those like me new to all of this in X-Plane, there is an updater for Zibo. Try to keep it up to date. It really helps. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and start getting the service crews working inside since we're fueled. And we're going to accept the cockpit here, and then we're going to get into the full pre-flight and we'll get pushed back. So stand by and we'll get that rolling for you. All right, folks, we are now looking at the overhead panel here in the 737. The big thing here when we're turning the airplane is we do a quick acceptance, make sure everything is the way it should be before we go into our pre-flight. So with that, and it's kind of like a cold and dark, but yet we're already fired up with the batteries, the ground power, and such. So battery switch here is on. The guard's down. Standby power, same thing. We are on the GPU. It is lit. If you just, when you do a cold and dark, when it lights up, just click it down once, and then it'll become the electric source. Then come back up to the top here. Make sure your DC volt is on ground power, and it's going to show you what's coming out of the machine. Okay, next thing we want to make sure of is the landing gear. To do that, we'll come down to the middle. Oh, excuse me. The landing gear is down, 3 green, flaps up, and the flap lever agrees. Those are 2 critical things. Sometimes your flap lever will show 5 and 0 at the top. Make sure they agree. Speed brakes are in the down detent. And that, folks, is... Oh, let me get back up now to the top. We'll come down, make sure the parking brake's on. Fuel levers are at cutoff. And let's move the trim into the green. There we go. And since it was so far off, I am going to calibrate. So we'll go through that here real quick once we get to that point. Want to come back up here. We're going to head back up to the top. And all the way to the top. Let's go all the way up. Now, we need to align our IRS. That's about a 5 to 10 minute process. So we're going to first turn them off. While we're giving that a couple seconds, head over here to the flight recorder. You can do the quick test there. Number 1, Mach airspeed warning test. Number 2, stall warning 1, stall warning 2. Passenger oxygen's normal. Gauge is in the proper location. And your electronic engine controls, EEC for short, guarded and show on. Service interphone is off. 3 green are also up here. And our devices check out good. Now, before I bring the IRS back alive, I'm going to move this rotor switch on the outside to heading status. And you'll see why here in a second. Okay, so we're going to click it once to align, twice to nav. Okay, we're going to get an align light here and here. To the top, it's telling you how long. As long as you're in HDG/status, it's going to show you the time to align. When you're in POS, that's your position. So for now, we'll leave it in this, and we're going to just go on now and start getting our aircraft finalized here. We got to do a fire check. So we do our test of first side, which is just the fault and APU detect in op. Then we do the other side, which lights up the top one, and then the 3 T handles. Come over to this side and we do the test of the extinguishers. As long as we get 3 green, we're good. And then we do the cargo. Okay, back up to the panel here. Just looking. Okay, so we want to make sure the window heat's on for comfort so we don't have a glazed over window. Trim air's on. Recirc fans are in auto, and our packs are on. We're going to be firing up the APU here real soon. Anti-ice can stay off. Probe heat needs to stay off right now. And then our hydraulics, engine 1, engine 2, both on. Electric 1, electric 2 off. You can see right here what's open on the plane, the main door and the cargo panels. Or cargo doors, sorry. Again, our cruise altitude, we'll go ahead and throw that in here. And landing altitude there. And it's in 50s, so round up, round down. All right, folks, that takes care of the upper panel right now. I'm only going to do one other thing that's not on the checklist. I do a cross-feed check. That light should go dim. Then I turn it back to off. It goes bright, then out. Okay. Let's get down and get our alignments started. Make sure your dates are all accurate. Mine have not been for the last month or so. 2 reasons. One, we thought it wasn't going to the right folder. It appears that it was. And 2, I had to update my aircraft itself. So once I updated it, that message went away. All right, so we are at NZAA. Now, one thing I do here that not sure if people are aware, I come down to the next page for my coordinates, and whatever the day is, be it odd or even, that determines which one of the GPSs I select. Today is an even day, so we're going to select the right one. Odd, even. It's kind of like when you're traveling through the airspace. West 0 to 179, you're going odd, even the other way. I know. It works for me, folks. All right, so that's in. One last thing I'm going to do. We're back and then just get those in here, and that's all we need to do for now. Whoops, forgot the in. All right, folks, and that is the cockpit acceptance. So let's move on now and begin to get the aircraft set up here. We're going to switch back over to our panel here. We're going to run through one checklist here that you'll be able to see and just make sure we didn't miss anything. Okay. We did all of those up top. Oop, missed one. Service interphone was off. The panels are good. Landing gear lights illuminated and down. Stall warning test and the parking brake is on. It's to the back and the light is on. Okay, now I said we're going to calibrate my flight sticks here real quick. To do that, we just come up to the top here. We see calibrate, and it's under joystick. Calibrate. We're going to do a quick calibrate. Pitch up, pitch down, up, down. These are the elevators. Okay. Roll is aileron or roll axis. Okay, and yaw is the rudder. Okay, zoom. Yeah, y'all have your own zoom buttons. I'm just getting mine set up. Aileron trim. And I highly recommend this, folks, from time to time to do this, especially when you come in and it's been trimmed out of whack like mine was. It's still showing kind of out of whack, but okay. Throttles. And finally, the little mouse stuff I have on mine. And I am looking to get a new system. I just haven't decided if I'm going to go with a yoke or stay with the sticks that I have. Okay. I'm going to make sure everything is zeroed for the next step. Okay. It looks to be. And what it's doing is just right now calibrating. And that is it to it. All right, then you're done. And now we're going to head back over to our checklists. And we can now continue on with the FMS configuration. So we got to put the route in. And again, it's not a tough route, folks. Now, everyone does this a little different. I prefer to put the route in first. And for that, it is KLAG, K-A-L-A-G. We're going to hop on the airway Alpha 578. Hang on a second. I forgot I have another screen a little easier to read from. There we go. And that's going to take us to, oops, A-G-T-A-G. Okay. And then that takes us in. Okay, 1165, and we set our air miles as 1184. We are just within the GC distance, so I'm okay with the mileage and that everything's set up correctly. All right, so we're back here. Now, if save route, which doesn't work, would work, we could go on with that portion, but it doesn't for mine, so we'll just click departure. Arrival to put the runway in, then the departure next at NZAA, and we are looking for Raxi 1Q. And there's our transition, there's our runway, execute. Okay, now we're up to 1172. I'm not going to put the runway in as of yet, because if the winds change at Nadi, I got to change them in flight. Right now, there is no star. There's only a couple of stars, and they pretty much work with the big runway 220. The only ILS is runway 220 has mountains behind it, so you're going to kind of come in with the mountains to make it, or come in over the ocean. Still got to work with the mountains, so that's why we're not. Okay, while we're here, let's go ahead and bring this up, and there's fueling has completed. So we're going to come back to home and welcome our passengers aboard. Okay, we're going to come back now and complete our performance initialization here, and Bear with me a second here, folks. I just want to make sure. 31.7, okay. And I actually physically put that in. I know some of you don't. 125. Our reserve again is 12.6. Cost index 8.5. Now, this is why I'm saying I don't think we're going to hang at 32 very long. We could actually go to 36, but I'm going to probably bring us up to 34. Oh, probably out in the, well, we'll just see where that happens. So we'll put in 320, and then I'm going to put our cruise in. The winds are 273 at 24. Now, I've been given some information on how to handle these things. I'm going to wait and try and get a manual out and find out how to do it myself. So we're going to press on to N1. Okay, now for N1, okay, it looks like a TO2 departure. And I'm looking at Professional Flight Planner, which unfortunately I can't bring up over here because it's on another system that won't stream over. 33 will be our select altitude. Confirming 17. Yep. Okay. And we'll go ahead and do the climb 2 out of here. Takeoff. CG is 22.6. Okay. Let me just look here. 22, 24. We're close enough. And compute. It's always interesting to see how weights vary from system TopCat to Professional Flight Planner. Sim Toolkit and Sim Brief doesn't even provide this information. All right. So, let's go to the next page. And our current wind information. (120) at 5 now. See if it'll take it. Oh, good. /51. And again, I do not know how to, and I need to pull the manual up. I want to find out how to do that. And then I put in 1,500 feet for. Okay. Next page. All right, so we are doing a see if they should match up. Flaps 1 TO2. So we'll put 1 up in this one. We're showing 151, 152, 156. We'll go with that. We'll go with those. That's good numbers. Okay. Now, the distance that we can expect here will have 27, almost 2,800 feet of runway once we become airborne. So the V2 is clear 50 foot obstacle at the end of the runway. We'll be way above that by that point. So, all right, so that takes care, folks, of the FMC completely aligned. route put in, arrival departure put in, but reverse that, and then our performance initialization all the way out to where we'll have a trim of 6.0. All right, so let's move on and let's get into the checklist here for pre-flight. And the people are boarded, so we can get this thing out of here. To do that, let's come up to the upper panel. First thing we're going to do is kick on our APU. First off, turn the fuel pump on. Move this to on, then all the way down to start, and then release, and it'll spring up to arm. Okay, so IRS is in nav. And go back up while we're waiting. Takes a little bit. Oops, went the wrong direction. Sorry, folks. Now we can move this back to POS. And there you go. There's your coordinates. Okay. Window heat is on. Wheel. Oxygen. We done. GP. Okay. Yaw damper. That can move to on now. Fuel pumps. They're going to stay off till we're ready to push. Seat belts. We're going to go ahead and turn those on. Hydraulic pumps. Electric. Okay, and
just as a reminder, we cannot leave the gate until carrying items are properly put away. All overhead bins are closed and all passengers are seated.
APU bleed on. We can disconnect now. All right, so let's come back to here, go to ground services, disconnect. Okay, now we're going to go outside the airplane one more time, and you can see the GPU's gone, but the chocks are in place and all the doors are still open. Okay. Cruise altitude, fuel pumps. We'll begin to pre-plan our pushback here momentarily. So the last thing we need to do here is pre-plan. So we've got the GPU disconnected, pre-plan, start our pushback, and contact for taxi. So those come at another time. Real quick, over on our checklists, we're going to go through the first officers because his is the longest. So the flight control panel set, everything electrical checked, overhead fire protection checked, equipment cooling is normal, emergency exits gold, passenger sign set, wipers are on park, window heat's on, probe heat, anti-ice, engine anti-ice, and hydraulic panels are set, air conditioning set, cabin pressurization set, light panel set. We will be using ignition side right for start. I do the same thing with that, left and right. Keep it all simple. We need to set our MCPs, so let's do that real quick. 157. First off, let's get our flight directors on. Go up to 167. 51, up to 32. Oh, a little high. There we go. All right, now that sets the MCP up. Now we're going to zoom down a little. Scroll down. Let's get our rest of it set up now. Let me get that latest QNH of 1024. Okay. Now, if everything is set up, what I do is there's a setting in Zibo. If you go into the config fees of different variants, you can actually set it up so what you put on this mirrors on the first officer side. And that's for everything. You can make it just for the QNH or the baro and radio, or all of it. And I've got it, should be set for all of it. Whoop. Okay. Barrow. Nice. I'm going to go up to 400 though. Oh, I hate that. Cut it out, X-Plane. Okay. So like I said, now I should be able to go over to the other side. There's borrow of 400. Oh, you can't even move it, and the Q and H. That's right. I keep forgetting. You can't even move it. It's all done from here. Then you can control your arcs over there and VOR switches, you know, what you would expect. I'm going to turn those off for now because, all right, so let's, one last thing I want to look at is what is our squawk code? 1773. $72.3. And let's try to do a test. One time more. Okay, it's not wanting to, so we'll set it up for there. The altimeter is turned on. And there's also different settings in the Zibo variants to allow you to have the standard VOR or this multiple one, which allows for ILS, GLS, VOR. Okay, so we are now ready for pushback. We'll get that planned up here and we'll be ready to push. All right, folks, like I said, all we got to do now is plan the pushback, which will go to better pushback, which is under plugins, pre-plan, and get that planned. We'll do a quick, give you an idea what the charts say we should do out of here. Okay, and enter.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
All right, so we got that set up. And let's do that departure brief here real quick. And Sim Toolkit is coming over here. All right, so get that taken care of. Turn that on. All right, so our information here is where we are right now. Let me kind of move this down. First off, let me scroll back. Let you see the frequency bar here. Again, airport elevation is 23. Here's the airport coordinates. Page 10.9 out of the jet book. Effective 31 December. And then here's all your frequencies. Now, being on POSCON, I'll give you a little background real quick once we're ready to go. It's a little bit, basically they give you a frequency for common traffic, which a lot of these big airports don't have because their towers staff 24/7. And you use that frequency. All right, so here's where we are, stand 8. We are going to push back, head down to what I'm going to do this time. Last time I used taxiway Alpha, which is the old runway 5 left, 23 right. They've gotten rid of it, and I don't know why they never changed the designations. But anyway, we're going to run down taxiway, I believe it's Bravo. Then we'll get on Alpha, and then we'll back taxi for takeoff. Couple of things real quick. We can't take off in this area, and Okay, the western extension, that's this area, is not available for takeoff. Hang on. Looking for any others that might be potential. Spot 1, no, that's not us. Okay, so that should take care of it for where we are. Our departure, Raxon 1 Quebec, out of Auckland, is effective 5 November 20, page 10-3 kilo, and again 23 feet above sea level. This would be our departure frequencies if we had ATC. Transition level is 13,000. Let's zoom in. We have to have RNAV 1 at a minimum. They require GPS, and here's our frequencies. Okay, now for the Raxon 1Q, this is the initial climb. So it's, bring it up here so you can kind of watch it on the map here as well. This is our routing, yeah, up to Raxon. All right, so track 51 degrees to MRAG. MRAG left turn to Raxon, and then we go to KLEG. There are one restriction here. We just have to stay to a maximum of 250 till we're out of the term at MRAG. Okay, so that there, folks, is your departure brief this far. And then you can see, you can zoom in a little here so you can see it as well. It's the pink. All right, and then we'll go over the V speeds here, and then we're ready to push. All right, so again, the V speeds are 151 for V1, 152 for rotate, 156 for V2. All right, folks, so what we have left on the checklist, let's check the oxygen real quick. Okay, and we're going to check that the igniters or ignition systems in auto, and mode control panel set. The oxygen's tested. Takeoff configs not lit. Calbit altitude is extinguished. We'll hold 1 and 2. We'll check flight instruments and proximity. So let's check 1 and 2 while we're here. We're going to do that from the middle. We got 2 sides here. 1, that's the captain's. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. 3 yellow. Okay, and then our warnings that they said to watch for would be here, speed brakes there and there. So that's what those 4 switches are for, or lights are for. And landing gear panel is set. We will not set the auto brake as of yet. Engine displays, cargo fire panel's been checked, VHF radios are set, audio panels are set, weather radar set. And folks, we are ready to get ready to do a pushback. All right, so again, APU's on, the generators are on, the bleed is on. We've got the pushback ready to go, so let's go ahead, get him on his way, and we'll go through the pushbacks scenario here of checklists.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
All right, so the pushback checklist. Let's come down here to Zibo first. Flight deck doors closed, CDU set, N1 set, IAS set, and MCP checks are complete. Pushing back, transponder and parking brake by the ground handler. And we're going to go ahead and go all the way over to, on that, parking brakes are set. We do have one more thing I want to do here, and that's up here We're going to turn System B Electric 1 on. And we're going to go ahead and get our anti-collision on. Come back over to here one last time.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
We're going to remove the chocks. And they are removed. I always like to look. Doors are closed. And locked. And one last look around the plane. While he lifts the nose gear up. Okay, we're looking good, folks.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
What I'm going to do first, start our timer on the first officer side, come down. There go the brakes.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
All right, I just wanted to welcome them aboard. Pushback, okay. Engine start. Well, we'll hold here. Let me go through the engine start. What we're going to be doing here, folks. And we're going to do it together. All fuel pumps on. Go ahead and turn the centers on. There's a lot in there. Those have to be on, at least the wing tanks. Your packs have to be turned off. Make sure your isolation valve is auto or open. Any collision lights not required, but your packs off is required. I'm going to switch to a different angle here for the start itself. And then all we do, we're going to go number 1. I'm going to reverse my way of doing things again. I liked that last time. So we're going to start up number 1, which is the the captain's side, left side of the aircraft. And you can see it building up here on N2. At 17, that's when we come down and turn on the fuel lever. Okay, we're above. It'll keep building up, and then when the EGT starts moving, you've got a light off. Fuel flow's coming up. Oil pressure's coming up. Now I'm going to move this up a little bit and back. At 56, this is going to go to here, back to auto, and the valve will go out. Starter disconnected. Okay, and we're almost fully pushed back, and we're beginning to stabilize.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
We're going to go ahead, since we're stabilized, start up number 2. Same procedure. In the meantime, I am going to go ahead, get us on Gen 1. You can see the numbers coming up here. EGT, we're good. Okay, well folks, there's how you start the bird up. We're just waiting for the engines to spool and stabilize. Again, we're coming up on 56. Be watching this lever to move to auto. This light for your start valve to go out.
Disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Okay, now with that pin removed, you can then bring on the electrics for System A. We're stabilized. Let's... Okay, so let's come back, finish this up. All right, so we got 2 pages here. So we went through, we turned the packs off. We'll get them back on here in a moment. Verified and off. Cut out, and we're done. Okay, so before taxi. Okay, we got to make sure our packs are on. And now our folks are getting air. APU bleed can go off. Both generators are on, not lit. We can now just turn off the APU. Probe heat can come on. We're going to turn the ice on, even though for engine only, just because of the cloudiness. There's no significant weather, but I'm going to play it safe. Set our elevator trim and flaps. So we'll come down to here first. Flaps are going to go to 1. They're traveling when it's red, green when they're set. And they say 6. So we'll put her up here to 6. Green, we're at flaps 1. Okay, one last thing, system. Okay, here's your hydraulics. Here's your brake temperatures, and here's your control surfaces. I want to do a control surface check before we taxi out. So we're going to go. It's kind of like calibrating, but this is just to make sure the most important thing is removed, or you're not going to lift off or turn. And that's the gust locks. Okay, everything's good. Elevator flaps, taxi lights. We are ready to taxi out, folks. I see that warning. Okay, and what I did is I set us for 240 instead of 250 in our climb. Hang on a second. Did I turn my fuel pumps on? Oh, no, I did not. Thought I did. They were already on. Okay, and now we can turn on TCAS. We're going to leave the others off till we get to the taxiway at a minimum. The last thing we'll do here is go back to engine and then blanket. And there's our information right up there. Okay, so landing or so Auckland traffic, Mac Air 572, taxiing to runway 5 right, correction 5 left. Okay, we got our ACARS program running. Recall, taxi lights on, parking brake off. Like I said, we're going to taxi via, I believe it's Bravo, the inner taxiway as far as we can, and then come onto it, and then we'll take the old runway. It's kind of odd that it's still there. Feel free if you have some inside information on the why it's still up like that. I would sure love to read about it. I love learning things about airports. All right, folks, we are now on taxiway Bravo. We'll see you at the end of the runway. All right, folks, we're coming to the end of the runway here. We're going to do a quick before takeoff checklist, so that way we can just keep rolling right onto the runway and get our checks done before taxi's complete. Next page is the takeoff for. Basically, we need to put the engine selectors. Hang on a second here. I don't want to drift too far here. Okay, so engine selectors to continuous. And you X-Plane folks, if you want to help me out here, I've been trying to figure out why I'm not seeing the full array of lights up here. I don't know if that's something in the config file that I have to figure out how to get into or what. And we'll turn the auto throttle on and VNAV, LNAV. All right, excuse me folks. Terrain radar's on. Weather radar's on the other one. Auckland traffic, Mac Air 572. Back taxiing runway 5 right for departure. Yep, I was on the right frequency. Okay, for some reason, you know how it is. You think you got the right one set. Nope. All right, so we are ready for takeoff. Let's get the strobes on. And we're back taxiing now runway 5 right. I'm going to go ahead and be silly not to use the whole runway, because God forbid something happens, folks, and they go, well, why didn't you use that extra 1,000 feet or whatever it is down here? So we'll get turned around, come up to the edge, and then we'll go. Okay, start easing it around. And this part I always love in flight sims. We're going to be running over all of these light stands. That never made sense to me either. Okay. Actually, there's a lot of things in the flight sim world that doesn't make sense. Just glad it's there. Let's take a look outside as we roll up here on the edge of the runway. Because remember, our chart for the airport said we can't take off in this area. Okay, there we go. Lights are on. Let's get a good view of the plane one more time. And Auckland. Yeah, you'd see a lot more city, but you know, hey, it's not bad. Good look at that tail. There we go, folks. All right, it is time to go. So basically what we're going to do here, I'm going to walk us through it. We're on the right runway. Strobe lights are on. Other lights are now on. We're on TARA. Fixed lights are on. So they're saying to 40%. This is me personally, folks. I don't pretend to say this is the correct way or not. This is what works for me. We're going to go to 60%. I'll show you why I do that. Okay. Once they stabilize, then we'll kick the toga switch. At the rotate, we'll go to try our best to go to 15 degrees. I always don't. And then when we get positive rate, we'll pull the gear up, and then we'll return to the checklist once we stabilize out of all of that. All right, so why does Captain Mike not follow the checklist? I'm lazy. If I go to 40%, I mean, yeah, I could conceivably say right here, but 60% is just an easy visual for me. I put the blue throttle icon here at 60. It lines up here. That's all. Simple silliness, I know, but that works for me. So, and then we'll turn on Command A. Landing lights will go off at 10,000 feet. And we'll keep the ice on, engine ice. All right, so there we go, folks. We're going to start the timer. And here we go. 60%. See how she's throttling up. Once stabilized. Okay, we got a roll, lights are on. Toga. Push the sticker yoke, whatever you're using it, a little to help keep the nose down. I always find it so hard to keep it on center line.
V1, rotate.
V1,
V2,
rotate.
Set to 15 degrees.
Positive rate.
Gear up.
400.
Gear up.
1000.
Right now we're just flying the director. We're still off a little. What I'm going to do, go ahead and turn Command A on. She'll get us all trimmed and set right. Okay, we're passing flaps 1 speed. So let's do the after takeoff checklist. Landing gear is up and off. RTO, I forgot to set that. That's on me. Flaps are now coming up. Let's make sure we're still set, and we are. We'll go to legs on this one, and we are climbing out. We're going to move this up. Command A's on. Landing lights will remain on to 10,000. Engine ice will stay. Okay, and roll mode. VNAV's on, autopilot's on, start switches as needed. All right, last thing, climb cruise. And those. All right. I'll get that annoying sound out of our ears of the trim wheel as soon as we make the turn. All right, folks, we are climbing out of Auckland at this time, 3 minutes from brake release to 32,000 feet. Here we go into the turn for the SID at MRAC. Next up will be, let's see here. Sorry about this, folks. Raxon, and then KLAG. Okay, and again, the SID required us to stay under 250. So far, so good. Okay, get that realigned on our new route. We're going to push out one more. TCAS is on, terrain is on. Wings are coming level. All right, folks, we are now tracking outbound to Raxon. Climb 2, coming up on 10,000 feet. Landing lights go off
10,000 feet.
Now, one thing I'm going to show you, and we're going to go ahead and pull the engine start levers to off. I forgot to do something big time here, folks. Hang on. Oh, it did it for me. Thank goodness. Okay, so it's going to, at 13,000, it's going to be turned to yellow with STD on it. And once we get past that, now, a lot of times when you cross transition, most crews will turn the wing lights off, especially at night, so they don't bother the passengers trying to sleep. In Zibo, it triggers an announcement, so we're going to keep it in play here. All right, so we'll get that. And more than likely it is just a chime, but that would be electronics on or off. Used to maybe be no smoking. So, okay, there's 11,000. We've reached our initial here. Once we get past transition, we're going to get over and show you a little bit of the Zibo behind the scene configs. And I'm going to tell you right now up front, I am no authority. And then from there, we're going to, this is the part I hate about Zibo. Trem just ran away with it. Okay, we got to get the autopilot off. That Zibo bug is still with it. Okay, this is what I meant when it came off. We're going to try again, see if we get lucky. 1024, so we just click STD, makes it standard. That's the one thing I really hate about this plane, folks. She'll just violently all of a sudden shoot for the moon. And sometimes it'll catch itself and come back down. A lot of times it doesn't. If you walked away from it at that point, guess where you end up? Crashed. So, like right now, it's
18,000 feet.
that was on me. I didn't see the VNAV wasn't on, so now should begin to correct. Okay. Gotta love it, folks. All right, so we're going to pay attention here real quick. We're going to work the config real quick. So to do that, you come back to the main menu. Right side, configurize and customize. I think it's in here. I was wrong one. I just have to go through now and find what I'm looking for. Nope. Pardon me for a second. I want to make sure we're not doing something violent here. Okay. Okay. Anyway, you've got all of these. Sorry, I was just trying to get that pulled off. So your displays, there's your exterior winglets, whichever type you want, or none. Do you want air stairs or not? Most airlines, by the way, do not have air stairs. Satellite communications, that's what your people in the back, your passengers will use, plus you, don't get me wrong, for Wi-Fi, communicating with dispatch sometimes. So you can have that little bubble in the back or the front, or as it says here, both. I've never tried both. Your landing lights and so forth. Systems, do you want the HUD? I like it in PMDG. I don't like how it's worked here. Some of this I don't know what they're trying to do, so it's a new one, so I got to get the manual out and find out, especially this self-cal. I don't know how this works. Now, if you don't like having this for your VOR, this one, turn to no, will turn it back. ROS is for identifying your runway. Just going to constantly, there she goes again. Yeah, this is really not doing well. Not doing well at all. Just happened to notice something out the side there, and that's what triggered me to look. All right, so again, I'm watching things, and when I see things look weird out this window, that's when I'm going to kind of zoom back a little. Okay. But anyway, that identifies your runway. I've got it set to auto. I think I want it turned on, but I'm not sure. I don't know what that is. And so forth. These are where you can set. These are like the PMDG. That's where you find these. Hardware. Now, this one's important. I know some of you have probably opened the box on Zibo and said, how the heck do I turn it on the ground? Come into your configurations, go to hardware, and here it is, nose wheel axis. What's controlling mine is the yaw, so that would be like your rudder pedals, my twisting of the joystick, stuff like that. Some of this doesn't make sense. Throttle noise lock, that doesn't make sense to me. This one, you get going through here what you got. Realism, align times, refuel. Do you want them real or not? Do you want to pause at top of descent? And so forth. So, but that's where you would make these. Now, one thing a lot of people, again, miss out on, this is where you mute the trim wheel, that big, you kept hearing that. That's where this was. Sorry, you can't mute me. But you would mute it there. Some of these I don't get. Now, if you're one that wants to get all the glamour and glory because you made a good landing, you turn it on. Some of this is just eye candy to me. Passenger volumes and so forth. There's another one in here. Visual effects, we went through those. But anyway, that's where you find that stuff. So let's get back to our checklists here. We have gone through transition. Got one last thing I want to do here. Okay, we're standard here, standard there, and hopefully it's going to behave the rest of the flight. We're going to continue on to climb. We'll see you up at the top of climb. So hope you enjoy the rest of your day, but at the top of climb, we'll come back to you. Alrighty, folks, here we come into top of climb here in about 400 feet. Aircraft seems to be settling down for the moment. No promises the rest of the way over to the Fiji Islands. Currently, we're flying for the virtual airline Millennium Aviation. Their ACARS program shows us arriving, there I am, 2 hours from now. So we'll kind of see, we've overshot our altitude. I always love when it does this. Let's see if it'll fix itself out. Okay. And we should come up to around 0.79, I believe, is our Mach at this speed. We are now in cruise phase. So for the cruise checklist, seatbelts can come off.
1,000 to go.
Cruise message to passengers, cabin lights set, flap references in approach section of the FMC. Well, we'll get to that in a long time. All right, she's not wanting to hold, so hang on. We're going to kind of help her down. I hate when it doesn't want to do this. Okay.
$1,000 to go.
Okay. See if she takes care of it. It doesn't appear to be. Oh, come on, airplane. Really? I'd like to go back to my old version. See what it does. Really? All right, well, we are in cruise. We're going to be battling this, I think, for about the next 5-10 minutes. So while we are, we're going to let you take a look at the plane in the out. See her porpoising about out there. We'll listen into some music here while we get settled into cruise. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are now currently 35 miles from our top of climb. We've re-verified that our VREF will be 139, planning our approach at about 150 to 145, somewhere in there. They call 146, but that's what I'm going to shoot for. Okay, so to set all of this up, come down here so we get a better look at the 139, again, flaps 40. Sorry, I forgot to mention, we're going to be flaps 40 and a VREF of 139. Okay, and then all I want to do is plug over to there a little bit. Okay, we can see it set right there. Execute, okay. Now 30 miles out. So what we're going to run now is the descent checklist. So first step we're going to set is we're going to set for 6,000, so 7,000 first to get us down. Actually, I'm going to go to 11. What that'll do is allow us to slow before we push beyond that, and then we can come in at our proper speed. Okay, now engine start switches, they'll go to continuous. Hang on a second. Here we go. Engine start switches just like on takeoff. We're going to move them over, except we're going to be on all the way down. Fasten seatbelts will come on at 15-ish thousand feet. And landing lights, as always, 10,000 feet. All right, so we are now almost 20 miles out of top of descent. Right now, just hit it. So to make things nice and clean, oh, we need to set our transition altitude. Just remember, let me come on back to the other one. It's a lot easier to work from. Okay, so we go to our descent page here. On the 47777, just hit your VNAV page, next page, next page. That'll bring you to here. See where it says forecast? We want to click next to it. We're going to set 110. Okay, there's our transition level verified. Transition's 11. And I'm also going to verify it on our chart. 11,000. We could have gone with 13. Folks, it's not going to hurt. All the transition is when the aircraft switch from local barometric pressure to the standard 29.92 or 1013 if memory serves in the hectopascal area, where you get your Q and H then from. All right, so now we need to come back. I want to see how close we are. 13 miles. And I'm also going to set 1009. So that way when we hit it and I hit standard, it's right there. It's going to alter it, but it's going to be right there. Now in our case, or any time else, if ATC wants you down earlier, this is what you would do. First off, make sure you've run the checklist over here. Descent, VREF set, and there we go. Okay, so now we're set up for approach. Okay, so what else? I'm using this one just to keep things kind of separate. Whoop, that's not the lever I wanted. All right, so we're going to go to the descent page. And it may start on its own. It is. No, we still got a little bit. So what we can do is tell it to send now. Hang on. Execute. And all that's going to do is make it descend earlier than when you know, the screen said to. And there she goes. Let's see if it continues down. There it goes. It's been wobbling all about for this last 500, 600, 700 miles. So it wouldn't surprise me if it takes forever for it to kick in. And then all we do is watch our speed, make sure we don't overspeed. Okay, so one more time back here. Okay, so we're on the approach. So when we hit 11,000 and it levels off, we'll go through the approach checklists and then prepare for second attempt at an RNIP. And the first one wasn't bad. I didn't crash and burn. I just landed hard, and Millennium had to, you know, reject the flight, the PIREP. So, well, folks, we'll see you down closer to 11,000 feet from this point. Hoping you enjoy the broadcast. If you did, click subscribe and make sure notifications are on so you get videos when I put them out there. And thumbs up it too. We sure appreciate thumbs up. So we'll see you at 11,000 feet. All right, folks, back with you. We're through 13,000, about to cross the decel point. I've already begun to slow us down. We're coming up on we're just going to continue to 3,400 feet. Now, I did do a second look for the weather. The weather has changed slightly. We now have a wind at 110 at 4, so it's getting closer to right down the runway. Hallelujah, that'll help me out a little. But temperature's still 23. We're still planning flaps 40. Oh, I have too many mice over here. And 139, 146. So 139 for VREF, 146 for the approach. Still looking at 5,000 feet required. Leaving us a margin of 3,800 feet. I don't get that. Oh, I see what they're doing. They're saying it's going to be about 3,100 feet for us to land and get stopped, leaving 3,800 feet. I was going to say, it's only 7,000. How can it go higher than that? All right, there's transition. So let's click that in. There's 1,009. I've adjusted our baro to 360. Let's do the approach checklist, QNH set, altitude. Set for the approach of 3,400 feet, which is our initial here at Whiskey Alpha. I'm just going to use everything's Fox November, November.
10,000 feet.
ILS course not applicable, VREF set at 139. Again, we're going to try to approach at 146 to 150. Minimum set, and we're planning flaps 40. And bear with me a second here. I'm going to pull the speed brakes off. See how we do. I'm just going to kind of keep it in this bigger view here of the cockpit, even though I really don't need to see over there, just quicker to get to where I need to. Okay, we do need them still. See, I'm going to ease off the descent a little. And we're below 10,000 feet now, so while it's adjusting down there, lights are coming on. Okay, and before we do the approach procedure here, whoops, wanted that one. Okay. Alright, so we're not doing a 15. Lights are on, passenger signs are on, altimeters are set, and RNIP's updated. We are doing this one. Okay. So we're set. Dang it. There we go. Sorry, folks, to go all over the board there on you. And at this decel point, we're going to slow to 210. It's 220. But part of me says 210 would be better. Okay, finishing it up, we'll set the auto brakes. Oh, set them up right now to 3. Speed brakes will arm up as needed. Landing gear will go down after the final approach fix, and taxi lights and retractables are down. Okay. And let's go over it while we still can. Alright, so we'll stay in LNAV or VLOC 2 miles before final approach fix. Which is this Whiskey Fox. I'm just trying to get a feel for this. We've got the MCP set for MDA. Landing gear will go down. We'll set we'll set our flaps pretty much full. Arm the speed brakes, and and then below 300 feet, missed approaches. Wow. Wish we had a co-pilot. All right, I'm gonna dial down. Okay, so 5,700 feet, now we're slowing. Okay, so we do have clouds. Let me one more time. So few clouds still at 3,000, 30,000. Okay. Just making sure nothing drastic has changed and we need to switch to the ILS. So we'll help it out in the descent here to slow down. At 220, we'll release the speed brake. All right, we still have anti-ice on. I'm gonna make sure. Yes, engine anti-ice is on.
1,000 to go.
We're coming up on 220. We're almost out of the clouds, it looks like. All right, there's an island ahead of us. However, that's not the island we're going to, folks. All right, there's 220. All right, time to get into our A game here, folks. Okay, so one last run of the checklist. Okay. Leveling off. Slowing down. Flaps 1. Okay, we're on LNAV. That's good. Let's make sure no altitude discrepancies here. Okay. All right, so we're going to decelerate here soon to 180. We're going to do that right now. Okay. Just trying to stay ahead of the plane. There we go. Flaps 2. All right. Okay, slowing to 180 so we can go to flaps 5. Dial is 1 notch down. Okay. Okay, we're coming around, folks. Going to flaps 10. Descending to 1900. Okay, we're at 150. And we're at flaps 10. And then from 1900, we'll set 300 and begin our approach.
1,000 to go.
Flaps 3. Now we'll set the
2,500.
speed brakes armed. Flaps 3. Flaps currently at 10. Approach speed set. Okay, here comes 1900. Don't have the runway really in sight yet, but the gear's coming down. Flaps 15.
Gear down.
And we crossed. Here we come down. Okay, runway is in sight. Going to flaps 20. Speed brakes armed. Okay, now we're at flaps 30. Setting 146. Flaps are 40 and 40. Speed brakes armed. Brakes at 3. Lights on. Cleared to land. Fiji traffic. Nadi International. Mac 572. 2-mile final. Gear down. Runway 9. RNIP.
1,000.
Okay, slowly becoming my plane. Okay, it's my plane. All right.
500. 400. 300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20. 10.
Reverse thrust.
$80 knots.
Reverse off. Speed brakes are up. I'll get clear of the hold line and then we'll assess. Felt like a better landing, but we'll find out. Here we go, folks. Coming into the terminal here at Nadi. All right, let's see what we've done. I'll take it. 176 feet a minute. Not the greatest approach I've done. Not the worst. I'll give you that one. But welcome to Nadi International. And let's do a quick cleanup here and then bring it into the gates. All right, so speed brakes are... Get down here. Speed brakes are down. Flaps we got to get up. Landing lights off. Strobes off. All right, probe heat off. APU turned on. Position lights steady, weather radar off. All right, so we can do all of that up here. Terrain off, weather off. Don't need TCAS now. And like I said, folks, welcome to Nadi. It's been my pleasure flying you here. Let's see. Anything else I've missed? Okay, we did all of these. Bear with me, just doing a little bit of paperwork catch up before we get going again. Next page. Okay, so auto brakes off, down, probe heats off, exterior start switches is what we forgot. And the transponder. So back up to the top. Start switches can come off. Down to the bottom. We'll go to there. Folks, we're continuing our taxi now. And for those of you curious, a little bit, I mean, I can't guarantee it's accurate, but it looks pretty good to me at least. And I don't think we'll have any traffic in here. Nadi traffic, Mac Air 572, clear the runway. And let me get something here, because for some reason every time you tap the brakes, turns off the beacons. All right.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
All right, so we're just waiting to find a gate. Let's go this route and take a look at what they call the fern leaf paint scheme in Air New Zealand. I like it. And for those who follow the channel over on Twitch or here, we've been talking about purchasing our first payway aircraft for X-Plane. Got plenty of them in Flight Sim. Well, let me rephrase that, in FSX. I don't have the new sim yet. Anyway, we've decided upon an Airbus, and it's going to be the Flight Factor A320. Just not sure yet when I'm going to buy it. I've got to get Feel a little better with Zibo here in my 7.4, which are all freeware. But they're modifications, and this modification here on Zibo, if you're not familiar with it, is comparable to PMDG. And it's free. My favorite letters. Or at least my CFO. Well, look at that jetway set up for a wide body, and here comes a little plane in. All right, let's see what we can do here, folks. Fortunately, we don't have animated jetways or any of those programs as of yet. I'm still getting used to X-Plane. I got 20 years under my belt with Microsoft Flight Sims, minus the newest one. Okay, folks, we're in the blocks. So first thing I want to do, even though it's going to get turned off here real quick, get that back on. All right, parking brake. Set, trim, 4 units. APU should be running now, and is, so let's get the gens on. APU bleed on. Turn the seatbelt sign off. Electronics off, or back, yeah, so they can use them. And oh man. All right, so with the APU on, we can shut down. All right, so all we got to do, folks, to shut the engines down, pull the fuel cutoff levers down and off. Transponder to standby. Exterior lights, they say all off. No. Set. Okay. Up at the top, that's where we meant to go. Alright, so taxi lights can go off. Anti-collision can go off. Electrics can go off. Probe heat's already off. Fuel pumps, all but one. Window heaters can stay on. Flight directors, I thought I turned them off, but let's make sure. Nope, I did not. Auto brake off. APU, well, we're just waiting on them to hook in. Hang on. All right, there we go. Let's go here, here. Set the chocks. Jetways in, so we can open everything up. Let's go to ground power. And we are now on the ground power. All right, let's take a look outside the plane. Chocks are in. Of course, the jetway won't be down to our level. And there you go, folks. Welcome to the Fiji Islands. Hope you enjoyed the flight. We've really had, like I said, a fun time flying it. If you liked what you saw, like what we did, by all means, please subscribe to the channel. We would love to have you. If you have your notifications turned on, you'll know when we put another video out. But for now, folks, this is Captain Mike for Flying with Mike. We thank you for flying with us, and we hope you have a great day. God bless, and we'll be looking for you in the skies. Have a great day.